Morning, everyone. This is Gaganjeet Singh. I'm from VAV. I'm taking care of the SARC internship program of CET Bhubaneswar, and VAV is the official alumni engagement partner of College of Engineering and Technology Bhubaneswar. Without further ado, I would like to invite Samarth, one of the student of CET Bhubaneswar, to introduce our guest speaker today. Samarth, the platform is all yours.
Thank you, Gagan sir. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are fine. Today, we are here in this webinar to acquire a lot of knowledge from past experience of Mr. Priyaranjan Patnaik. Mr. Patnaik completed his Bachelor in Technology from College of Engineering and Technology in the year 2013. He then worked at Tata Consultancy Service for nearly 4 years. He cracked GRE in the year 2016 and completed his master's from University of Washington. At present, he is working as data scientist at Oracle, USA. He is an alumnus of College of Engineering and Technology, and we all are him due to his current status. So let's welcome Mr. Patnaik to share his beautiful experience in the journey from engineer to data scientist. Dear Ranjan sir, please.
Hey, Samar, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gaganjit, and the whole team of VAB for giving this platform to speak about my experience, how it was back then, and what it took to do a master's in MS and then get into a specific line of career that you want to really do and enjoy working at. Like I was mentioning before, I wish we had these kind of seminars to speak to our seniors before when I was in the university, because it would have helped me, ask and get answers to a lot of questions that I had when I was in my third and the fourth year. So yeah, thank you guys. So like Samarth mentioned, right? So I graduated from CT in 2013. I was a graduate from the electrical engineering department, and like many of you guys, I'm sure most of you guys who are in the Zoom call today are either preparing for GATE or for CAT, right? So I was also one of you 8 or 9 years ago. I was preparing for GATE, and so I'll wind back a little to just give some context around how this journey started, right? So back in my high school, I used to really enjoy mathematics and statistics. So I also opted for those courses in my 11th and 12th. And then I also enjoyed like engineering mathematics 1, 2, 3. We had maths 1, 2, 3 in our engineering. So I really enjoyed studying for those subjects and did okay in those subjects as well. And started preparing for my GATE due to one reason or the other. And I was planning to join a PSU, crack GATE, join a PSU, or do a MTech after my graduation. And in the light of that, I started going to some sort of coaching, and then prepared for the GATE exam, appeared for the GATE exam. Didn't get a very good rank that I would have liked to crack a PSU, but fortunately I also appeared for BARC entrance exam. That's the Bhabha Atomic Research Center, and I was able to get an offer from them to join them as a research scientist. And once we graduated, I had a couple of months to think about the offer and to see if I wanted to accept that, because I also had another offer from campus placement of TCS. It may sound odd to many of you guys, but I thought a lot about that, and it was probably one of the most hardest decisions that I had made in my life. But I decided to join TCS. I'll tell you why. So I had 2 months to think about the offer, and I started contemplating, like, what do I really want to do with the rest of my career, not just immediately after graduation. And I always wanted to travel outside, go out, do a master's or an MBA outside of India, gain some exposure in the corporate world outside of US, and really contribute towards the technical community in the West Coast specifically, because it's famous for bringing up all these new technologies and all that kind of things, right? So I always had that trust, but on the other hand, I also had an offer from a great PSU to be a nuclear scientist. It was a very hard decision, but I ultimately decided that thinking long term, it's probably better for me to take a leap of faith and join TCS, keeping in mind that I would have to put in extra work to get to where I want, because TCS was not the end goal for me. And many of my friends, or like majority, 90% of my friends and my classmates, they cracked PSUs. They were joining NITs, IITs for MTech, and it was obviously the right career choice for them, but it wasn't the right career choice for me. Uh, so I joined TCS and I started working with information systems, primarily databases, and I worked with SQL Server for about a couple of years. But after that, we had this new emerging thing called NoSQL databases. It's very popular now, but it wasn't as popular 7 or 8 years ago. So we had this emerging thing called MongoDB back then, and we had a call with one of our client directors, who asked us to probe further into getting more information about NoSQL databases, how we want to like make a use case for it. And my client was American Express. So as you can expect, right? So American Express makes credit cards, and they deal with transaction systems. Most of their front-end transaction systems are mainframes, and almost all of their backend are transaction-related databases. So for transaction, maintaining ACID properties, for those of you who are in computer science, you would understand this. For transactional databases, maintaining ACID is very important, right? Because if a transaction fails, it needs to be rolled back in several systems, not just one database or one table. So to replace some of these systems, which have been working fine for more than decades, with a very new young technology, which does not have that sort of reputation of handling big loads, was a challenge. So we did a POC. We presented the POC to a lot of leaders within the org in American Express, obviously. And then we got the sign off to work on 8 such projects after the POC was successful, right? So we started off work on those, and then slowly and steadily we realized that there is no standardization that is available within either TCS or within Amex for how do we set up the infrastructure, what sort of limits or capacity do we assign, what are the best practices for NoSQL databases, how do you name your tables, file spaces, all those kind of things, right? So as we looked into that, we started preparing these design docs, which ultimately ended up being the TCS Bangalore's NoSQL database standard. So we have so within TCS there is something called a Center of Excellence. What they do is they provide you the industry guidelines for specific technologies. So in this case, for NoSQL, our team ended up writing those guidelines, and it was being used widely across TCS, Bangalore, and probably other places as well. And we started slowly migrating a lot of the databases off of relational databases to NoSQL after making the case for NoSQL. It was a great learning experience for me personally, because I had to learn a lot of things from scratch. And since I was an electrical engineer, I didn't have as much exposure as I would have liked into the world of computer science. We did have some sort of coding languages. I think we had C and C++, probably Java, but it wasn't as extensive as would have liked. I would also have liked to learn more about, say, system architecture and system design. That would have helped me immensely in those design docs. But that learning experience is something that kind of shaped me and kind of forced me to take the next step in my career. because I was so I had almost three and a half years of experience by then. And then I thought, what's next? So I have reached a point where now I had to take a call on what I want to do next, because I did not want to be in TCS for my life, because I wanted to move on. I wanted to do my masters in US, gain more knowledge, and then work actually with uh, not with companies who are implementing these systems, but with companies who are actually building and developing these systems, right? So I started looking into master's programs, and kind of I had by then settled on anything related to data, because I had all my experience in databases, managing data, building data systems. So I thought it is probably more efficient for me to make a transition into data related master. So I looked up a lot of courses online, mostly MS. There were some MBA courses as well. There are a lot of MBA courses right now which are coming up, which have like a dual specialization. You could graduate, you could do MBA in data analytics, and at the same time get a marketing degree as well, marketing MBA. So I was also looking into those kind of courses, but since I had 3.5 4 years of experience, I decided that um, it's probably better for me to get into a shorter version of the course, not spend the full 2 years studying, because I already had some foundational knowledge. So I was primarily looking into 1.5 years of courses, 2 years of courses, and then the next challenge was to taking up the GRE. Right, it was a whole different ball game. Like, I didn't have any knowledge about what sort of exams I need to give to get into certain universities. And there were certain universities who would require you to do an additional evaluation of your bachelor's degree. So how do you do that? How do you go on about doing all of those things? So it's a if studying in US is a 100-step process, taking the GRE is probably step number 5 in that. So but it is step number 5, but it is the first 5 steps that you take, right? So I decided that let's prepare for GRE, and then once I'm done with GRE, I could focus on like choosing the actual colleges and the courses, and what I want to do with my master, or what I want to get out of my masters. So I decided to prepare for GRE. I prepared for maybe a month or two, and then appeared for GRE, and I did good in my maths section. So there are two sections in GRE. One is maths and one is English. It's pretty similar to something like a CAT or a GMAT. There are some differences, obviously, in terms of the level of maths and the level of English that you get in all of these exams. So GRE, the English section in GRE, it is more driven towards sentence comprehension, your vocabulary skills, whereas in GMAT it is more driven towards like grammatical skills and reading comprehension and those kind of things. But maths is pretty easy, I would say, since you guys are in like top colleges in your states. So it should not be too difficult for you guys to practice the maths exam for GRE. So I got a full score in my maths, and I did pretty decent in my English section. I got a good score, and then I started looking into universities, right? So this is where the majority of the challenge is going to come, because there are hundreds of universities in US. And unlike India, I mean, in India, if somebody's looking to do a MTech, you'll probably end up with IISc in Bangalore as the number one choice, followed by IITs, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, and all other IITs, right? And then the next level is NITs. But it's not the same case in US, because there are hundreds of universities, and each university has a specific focus, and some universities have multiple focus. And there are obviously there are some obviously better universities like Harvard, Stanford, MIT, but they like getting into those universities is also extremely difficult, right? Because a lot of people are trying. And if you are planning to do a master's in, say, information systems as opposed to computer science, it's a whole different ball game, right? Because CS is a very established course, and then you have to essentially compete with lot of people who are applying. So the number of applicants to a CS course as opposed to number of applicants to a data analytics course, it's very different. So completely different programs with different objectives. The people who join these programs are also very different. Like you'll find a lot of people without experience in those CS programs, whereas you would rarely find somebody without any experience in like information systems or data analytics or even data science programs. So doing the research, choosing the right university is probably the key to what you want. So what I did was, since I wanted to do something related to data, right? So I looked up courses which had data analytics, a master's in data analytics or master's in information systems with a focus on data analytics, or even master's in data science. The masters in data science back then wasn't as popular, and not many universities were offering them. So I decided to settle on information systems and data analytics. And one of my top like personal preference was that I wanted to do from a good public university. So I looked up certain universities. I then reached out to like a lot of seniors over LinkedIn, and tried to speak to them about what their experience has been, what they got out of the program, what sort of job opportunities come out of the program, what learnings did they have. Is the program more focused on the breadth as opposed to the depth, and what are basically the focus areas of each of those programs. So I shortlisted probably about 20 to 25 such programs, spoke with a lot of seniors. You can ping them via LinkedIn, you can reach out to them over Facebook. Some might not read your messages, some might read and not respond, but you will get some response. So once you do that, once I did that, I had more clarity on which programs to choose, and I ultimately settled upon 6 universities, if I can remember correctly. So one of them obviously was University of Washington, and then I also applied to Carnegie Mellon University, Texas A&M, State University of New York, and then what was the other one? University of Cincinnati. So while applying to different universities in US, people often will recommend you to apply to a set of safe universities and then a set of ambitious universities. The reason being, you are spending a lot of money, especially when you convert application fees from dollars to rupees. You would end up spending almost close to 1 to 2 lakhs of rupees just in the application process, guys. We haven't even gone further. So and then speaking of these universities, the universities like Carnegie Mellon and TAMU, they would require you to do an additional evaluation of your college degree, because they don't accept the Indian degrees that we have as they are. So they would ask you to do a WES evaluation. It's a World Education Services. So what they would do is they would convert the GPA from like a 10-point scale, or if your university has 100% as a percent scale, they will convert it from those scales to a 4 GPA. So again, you have to pay money for that, and then you have to pay money for evaluation, and then you also have to pay money for sending over those scores from the agencies to these universities. So pick and choose which one do you want based on the course duration, what you want to get out of the course, speaking to the seniors. And once you do that, start applying to these colleges. But make sure that the process of sending over your transcripts, your GRE scores, your TOEFL scores, those are all independent. You don't have to do anything in a sequential order. So you can trigger your GRE scores to these universities immediately after you have completed your exam. And then you can do the same for GRE, you can do the same for your WES evaluations, you can do the same for your TOEFL scores as well. Then comes the fun part of writing the SOP. So SOP is called Statement of Purpose. So essentially, it's an essay that you write to describe why you want to join that particular university and why you want to do that course, and how you are a better suited candidate than say 50 other students who are applying to that same course. So writing SOP is critical, because unlike India, there is no like entrance score or cutoff. If you score 330 out of 314 GRE, that doesn't mean anything, right? That just says that you have good graduate level skills to, do calculations, do like speak to people, write a paper, and those kind of things. It doesn't say whether you are a good fit for the program, for the university to give you an admit. So you have to tune your SOPs according to these universities. So what I did was I looked up all these courses that they provided, and I started tuning my SOP to kind of match to what I wanted out of the program. And I also specifically called out certain courses that these universities had, and maybe even reach out to professors and talk to them about the interesting research that they have been doing. So let's for say example, you want to do a MS in machine learning, right? So you would reach out to a professor who works in computer vision or something, and then ask them about the new interesting areas of research that they're doing. So this kind of will pique the professor's interest in you, as well as establish a line of communication between you and somebody within the university. Not that they're going to sponsor or anything or they have any decision in your admission, but it gives you some sort of confidence. You can ask them questions about the program. You can ask them questions about certain individual subjects or even their research, whatever they're doing. So once you do that, start feeding those into your SOPs. I did that. So I tuned all of my SOPs based on these individual universities, and then started applying to universities. And the other thing that I had to keep in mind was the deadlines. So the deadlines for every university is different. Some universities have deadline way back in September, and some universities will even accept applications until late April, May, June timeframe. So you have to be a little proactive about the whole process. So even before you start your GRE, you can look up what course you want to do, which universities you want to go get into, which are your safe universities, which are your ambitious universities, what sort of GRE score those programs or those universities are accepting, what's the average GRE score, what's the average TOEFL score, and kind of aim to get a score above that. So let's say my program had a average GRE score of I think 315 or 316. So a good score would be 320 to get into this program, right? So you target getting 320, and once you're done with the GRE process, your SOP, you start applying. Uh, Another fundamental part of the whole application process is getting a letter of recommendation. So uh, what I did was I actually took a short-term transfer. It was not really a transfer. I moved back to Bhubaneswar to work in TCS Bhubaneswar office for about a month, because my project had some presence at Bhubaneswar, but it might not be the case for you all. So I worked out of the Bhubaneswar office for about 1 month, and in the meantime, I went to CET. I went to the professors of my department. I don't know if they're still there. I think Dr. Bhagarti, Meera ma'am. I reached out to them. I had my LORs from them, and the interesting thing about these letter of recommendation is they have to do it themselves, right? They have to submit. They have to write the LOR. They have to submit the LOR online. And they cannot send the LOR to you and then you can submit it. It doesn't work that way. So they get a unique link and they have to do it themselves. And if you're applying to say 6 colleges, you should not really expect any professor to do 6 of them in one go. So you have to make multiple visits, multiple trips, and then you might find that some of them are on vacation, some of them are taking classes. You have to wait. It's a long process. So keep like a couple of weeks at least to get this thing sorted. And once they submit their LORs, you will also get a notification that they have submitted and where you are in the application process. Now, there might be additional requirements. Some of these courses, I also mentioned to, forgot to mention, I applied to UC Berkeley. So UC Berkeley has this interesting thing that, you also have to submit multiple essays outside of your SOP. And those essays would be on, say like human development topics like women empowerment, or wildlife conservation, those kind of things. So make sure you carve out some time to prepare for those kind of writings, those kind of essays. and get it reviewed by like people who are probably good in writing. You can get it reviewed with somebody from your family. You can get it reviewed from like a senior, or even from your classmates who are good in have good writing skills. So they will help you, if not refine your ideas, they will at least help you catch like grammatical mistakes or errors, or even refine some of the sentences and frame it in a probably in a better way. So once you're done with all of that, GRE exam, TOEFL exam, SOP, LORs, and transcripts, and any evaluation that the university wants, and essays. So once you're done with all of these, your application will be complete, and then they would get back to you based on their timeline. So some universities like TAMU will start rolling out admits even from September. So probably a month after the deadline ends, they will start rolling out admits. Some roll out admits on a rolling basis. What that means is, as and when applications come, they continuously evaluate the applications. So the way they do it is they don't pitch one application against the other. So they will evaluate your application independently, and they will decide that whether or not they want to give you an admit. Some universities will want to put you on in a wait list and see how things are going, and then later convert the wait list into admits. Now, once you get admits, you will need to get you'll need to deposit whatever fee that they're asking, and then get something called the I-20. So I-20 is like an official doc that is generated by the university and by the Department of Homeland Security. So that is like your admission ticket to the university. That is something that you have to carry with you until you are on your student visa, even if you are working. So that is important. So uh, so I applied to 6. I got admit from 5. I didn't get admit from Berkeley, but I got admit from the remaining 5, and then I asked for I-20s from all of those universities. You can ask from all, and then just go with the one that you ultimately end up with, and take that one to the visa interview. So once you have all these I-20s, the next step is how do you go on about the visa interview? How do you go on about the funding? So every I-20 will have some sort of amount mentioned in them. That is the amount that they expect you to spend in 1 year. It's always going to be 1 year. So the amount that you see in your I-20 is a 1 year amount. So based on whatever that amount is, that amount will vary from one place to the other based on some universities are in college towns, so the expense is less. Some of the other universities are in big cities like my university, so the expense is a little higher. So there's several things that one can do about like collecting funds, getting things ready for that. I don't want to go into like too much of specifics around like the visa process or anything, but if you guys have questions, I'll specifically answer them. So once you select the I-20, finalize your university, you have to apply for a visa. You have to fill the visa application form. It's a DS-160 form in the US consulate, and then you go to your then you have to select a couple of dates. One date would be for your biometrics. The other date would be for the actual interview. So biometrics is like a 15-minute process unless there is a wait. But the interview, on the interview date, you have to take up your I-20 and your passport. Those are like minimum documents. And then aside from that, people also generally take proof of funding and those kind of things. And remain calm. If it's a good university, if you are if you're a genuine student, if you are applying to do a master's, if you really want to study and have the funding part covered, there shouldn't be any issues. And you should also show any scholarship that you have obtained from the university during your admission process. You can show that in your visa interview. So I went ahead with the I-20 from UW, University of Washington in Seattle, for the MS in Information Systems. And I got my visa, and then the next step was so by the time you get your visa, you are done with, I'd say, about 30% of the whole journey. Like there's still 70% of the journey left. So done with the visa, then you start, shopping. meeting friends, hosting, whatever goodbye or parties that you want to host. Do all of that. Do a lot of shopping, pack your bags, and then fly to US. And once you land in US, it's a whole different game. You don't know anyone here. You probably have chatted with some of your batchmates who are going to join with you, but depending on the university, some universities might have a lot of Indian students, some universities will have very few Indian students. So my program had about 14 or 15 Indian students. So try to pair up for your travel, and then you also have to look up for accommodation beforehand. So once you do that, once you land in US, you are probably about 40% into the process. Now you all you have left is to actually go and do that thing. That thing being your masters. So you start your masters. Now uh, the education system in US is very different from India, right? uh, in India, if you don't attend a class, or if you don't have enough attendance, they won't allow you to sit in the exams. And then the professor would call you and ask you why you're not attending classes and those kind of things. But here in US, nobody cares. If you are paying money for the class, so the way you pay money here is based on a per credit basis, it's not fixed. So if you take up 4 courses, you would end up paying for those 4 courses based on the credits of those 4 courses. So you're essentially paying for each of those subjects that you're taking. So if you're not attending classes, it's your loss. They don't care. They are here to teach. They will teach you at a very high level. uh, some courses, like for example CS, they might go into a bit detailed manner, but they would probably cover about 30 to 40% of the subject matter, and then expect you to go back and read 60 to 70% on your own. I think this is something probably people who are from government colleges are a bit familiar with, that you have to do a lot of self study on your own to cover, because you cannot realistically expect any teacher to complete your entire coursework. And that is more so applicable in US. So no one cares if you don't attend classes. It's fine as long as you are appearing for your tests. And the way these tests work is there is no like single test for pass and fail in the subject. So it will be several tests, and they will also assign you homeworks. The homeworks will be graded. There will be spot tests, surprise tests, and all those kind of fun things in your class. Again, so during my masters, I had several topics to choose from. We had subjects from information security, data mining, NLP, AI, and a lot of other areas as well, like IP, laws around IP, and business development, digital marketing, and those kind of things. So it's really a matter of which subjects interest you the most. For me, owing to all of my previous interests in mathematics and statistics, I was mostly interested in the AI, machine learning, data mining, and stats subjects, and that's how my interest kind of kept on growing. So when I left India to do a master's, I was expecting to join into a role related to data analytics, and not necessarily machine learning or data science, because the field is huge. And I didn't have any prior experience in data science. But as and when I went through the subjects, I grew more and more interested in stats and machine learning, and I started doing a lot of work outside of my coursework. So one of the most important things that one can do once one lands in US is try to find opportunities outside of your own school. When I say school, there are several schools within the university. So what you can do is you can reach out to different schools. So I was in the B school. You can reach out to information school, you can reach out to the engineering department, you can reach out to the School of Computer Science and Engineering, and ask them if there is something, like reach out to the professors and ask them if there is something that you can help them with, if there is any project that they need help with. because that's how you will get to learn a lot of things outside your coursework. Now studying is fine, right? Because you can take a book and study and find a couple of examples on the internet, do a MOOC and learn something, but doing actual research, helping in actual research and industry work is very critical. So when I was doing a master's, I was engaged in several of these kind of things. So we have something called Commotion within our university. It's a center of commercialization, essentially a startup incubator for the PhD, the postdocs, or any student that comes up with a product. So they don't have the funding. So what this particular department does is they will help you build a business case. They will help you create an MVP of your product and pitch it to investors and get the necessary funding. So I was working with one such team, and I was a product market analyst for them. So what I did was, depending on their product, I would research over the market and see what are the competing products, where this particular product can be placed, which market or which geographical region, or which what type of customer will it attract. So I was doing that kind of research for them, and that also kind of helped me apply some of the things that I was learning during my masters. And after that, I then engaged with another such team within the electrical and computer engineering department. It's called SEAL Labs. So SEAL stands for Sensors and Energy and Advanced Laboratory. So there were also a lot of products that these postdocs and PhD people were planning to take to market. So I helped them with their business plan to kind of make like a roadmap of when to launch what feature to bring in, and that kind of gave me a business side of things, like the understanding of the entire business, right? So in an essence, I got my technical knowledge from my coursework and from my self studies, and then I got the applied part of it by working with these kind of departments or these kind of teams. And once I did that, I then got an internship with a local data science consulting company. The internship was for 3 months. I worked with them. Our client was T-Mobile. We did some good stuff there. We also did a lot of brainstorming around, network and anomaly detection. And after that, I got an offer from Oracle, and I joined Oracle in 2018. And I've been with Oracle since. I'm primarily working with the engineering operations. So I help the engineering operations, customer operations, and customer support teams get better at what they do. So we collect all the data that any customer, whenever they connect with Oracle Cloud for any sort of support, we get all of that data. So it's mostly unstructured. So almost 90% of the work that I do is related to NLP. So this has been my journey until this point. Uh, I am quite happy with how things have progressed. Certainly a bit better, a bit bitter about leaving a prestigious PSU like Bark and going to the tech industry. But this is what I wanted to do, and I have done. So feel free to ask me questions. I know this is like a very big process, very long and tiresome process. So feel free to ask me questions around, maybe GRE exam or GMAT, or, the MS experience in US, or, how do you get, say, like part-time or visa sponsorships, or even data science, if you want to know more about, the NLP related work I do, or what sort of opportunities exist in the whole data science spectrum. Feel free to ask questions around that.
Thank you so much, Priyaranjan. Now, Samarth, can you come up with your video? Like, we'll start. We have like 7 questions as of now from the audience. So you can put more questions, guys. Meanwhile, Samarth, what you can do is you can just pick up questions one by one, and let's do some interaction session with sir. Right?
Thank you, Gagan sir.
Yeah.
Priya sir, there is one question.
Mhm.
What is the roadmap for a fresher to become a data scientist?
Okay. So the roadmap is not very different. Like there is no difference between being a fresher and being an experienced individual. So what you would probably need to do is, as a fresher, since you don't have that experience of data science on your resume, work on projects. You can get a lot of open source projects on the internet. Work on them, but do not just copy paste somebody else's code. Like write your own. Like find something interesting. Like you will find a lot of data sets in Kaggle. Pick up any data set, no matter how like common it is or anything. Find something unique in that. Try to look up the previous solutions and see if you can avoid using those solutions. Come up with a solution on your own, and put it on your resume. Put that project in GitHub. Put that link to GitHub in your resume. You can also build a GitHub website to showcase your maybe your data visualization skills or your data science skills. And the other thing you can do as a undergrad is actually do research, do publications. So this is something that I don't know if it is prevalent in CET as of today. It wasn't certainly during our time, but I have realized that the specifically the famous universities in South India or IITs, people do a lot of research work and they publish. So you can, as a fresher, as a undergrad, you can also do publications. It doesn't have to be like a groundbreaking thing. It can be a very subtle thing, but once you go through the publication process, right, it also gives some sort of credibility to the work that you have put in. And obviously you would be doing a lot of research if you want to publish something. So I'd say, as a fresher, focus on the fundamental skills of understanding machine learning, statistics, and working on projects. And if you can collaborate with some sort of volunteering organizations and help them build something for them that make their life easier, that would be a great win to put on your resume.
So, how hard is it to have a career in data science as a fresher in the current scenario?
So I understand, the current scenario is probably a little tough because not many companies are hiring. Many companies are hiring freeze, but that should not, discourage you guys. Because, like, to be honest, like I worked in TCS for about 4 years, right? I still had my plans in my mind. So this current pandemic is going away in a few months of time. So maybe mid 2020, you can hope that hopefully the new vaccines work and everyone goes back to work, and you can hope that you get those right opportunities. But never let something that is not in your control take control of you. You cannot control current pandemic situation or current political situation, but what you can control is study, build those projects, work on them, improve your resume.
So, how can we get an internship in the domain of machine learning?
So I think again what I said. So if you want to get internship or any job opportunities related to machine learning or data science, you need to have some sort of credibility. And by credibility, I mean something on your resume. So while applying for even for internships within India, or if you're applying for internships outside of India to like certain universities for research, you need to showcase that you have done something. So working on these projects, and by projects I don't mean like just predicting like rainfall in some region, right? It's something that has been done. So work on something interesting, improve your resume, and keep applying to these job openings or internship openings. And the second major thing that you can do is reach out to anyone you know within the company. So say for example you want to do an internship within Oracle, right? So reach out to me or anyone you know who works at Oracle. So most often people prefer internal referrals to just simple applications without any referral. So try to leverage your LinkedIn connections, increase your connections. Try to reach out to somebody from the company that you are trying to get an internship at, and they will probably help you. They might put in a word with the hiring manager of that particular team, and then you will get a phone call, and after that it's up to you. So building those connections over LinkedIn, reaching out to these individuals. I know like not everyone is going to respond, but if you ping say 20 people, at least a couple of them are going to respond, right? So do that, and then also work on your resume.
Sir, most of the students fear of huge expense and give up their plan of studying abroad. Can you please shed a light on this topic, sir?
Yes. So this is a favorite topic of mine. The reason being, so while I was in TCS, right, I also appeared for like exams like CAT. I didn't prepare for them, but I like out of peer pressure, I just appeared for those exams. And I had some sort of admits from XIMB and other universities. And then when I compared the cost of doing an MBA in India and with the cost of doing a master's in US, there is not much difference. So you have to keep that in mind, that it's not just the cost, but rather the whole process that is a little fearsome to a lot of people. But one thing that from like, I can tell from my experience is, do not let the costs be like any deterrence to like getting a good education. uh, it might seem very costly, but the payoff is very like payoff is almost instant. So you can get rid of all of your student debts possibly within an year or even within a month of getting a job, because a lot of companies give good bonuses. So companies like Amazon, they would give you and bonus upfront, so you could even get rid of all of your student loans. And most of us, at least all of my batchmates from India, when we came here, we started working part time, uh, and that part time work kind of covered all of our US expenses. So all we had to pay for was the tuition fees. And for me, for my university, the tuition fee was not that high at that time. I think it was around 20 20 lakhs, 20 to 30 lakhs. And 20 to 30 lakhs Indian rupees might seem a lot at this point, but I can assure you that once you get a job, it is very very easy to get rid of all of that student debt. And there are specific organizations and banks who provide you loan. Because I, for one, like, I didn't pay anything like out of my pocket or anything like that. I had a education loan from Allahabad Bank. It's a public sector bank. So there are a lot of similar banks in India. uh, you can get a loan, and you can also clear off the loan within a short amount of time. So do not let costs deter you from doing anything, because even getting a MBA from a good university or a good college in India is going to cost you 20 lakhs.
Sir, the previous question regarding that roadmap of a fresher, uh, what do you recommend doing angling competitions or projects?
So they're kind of similar in the sense that if you pick up something from Kaggle, it's in an essence it's a project. But if I understand your question, what you're saying is you actually want to do something outside of Kaggle, right? So if you want to do something outside of Kaggle, then I think you can prioritize that over picking anything from Kaggle. So yeah, if you have a project which is new, which is an actual industry project that you're working on to help some improve something, then do that instead of doing a Kaggle competition.
Uh, I am currently studying mechanical engineering in CET, but I want to pursue an MS in aeronautical engineering. Do I need my mechanical knowledge while doing MS? Any tips on improving my vocabulary for GRE and TOEFL?
So your mechanical knowledge or skills, improving or not improving that will depend on what sort of career path you want to take. Do you want to do a master's in related to mechanical engineering? If so, then the answer is yes. If not, then you would less likely use your mechanical engineering skills. I, for one, uh, since I have transitioned over to data science, I don't use my electrical engineering skills as much. But like I said, like electrical engineering is not just about electrical machines or electrical drives. It is also about engineering, mathematics, statistics, and those kind of things. So understanding those will help you in your career. But if it is not related to your undergrad, then you would not mostly you would not end up using that. And what was the second half of the question?
Yeah. Second half of the question was mm, any tips on improving my vocabulary for GRE and TOEFL?
For GRE and TOEFL, you have an official guide that you get once you register for the exam. You get it free of cost. It has some vocabulary within it, and the other things that I used to do was read New Yorker and Atlantic, or essentially any good English publications that you can find your hands on. Reading those will improve your reading skills as well as vocabulary. And there are also free flashcards that are available online for GRE. So you could just go through those list of say 500 flashcards and learn the vocabulary and their usage.
Sir, is it possible for a lower middle class family to study masters in US university like previous?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Like I said, so there are universities where tuition fees are not that high. For example, the State University of New York, Buffalo, or sunny Binghamton. So those are the any state university of New York. I think their tuition fees in total is probably less than $20,000. So less than $20,000 is probably 15 to 16 lakhs. So it shouldn't be difficult, but I cannot comment on the financial situation of every individual. But I would say there are universities which have less tuition fees. There are ways to get scholarships. You can write a scholarship essay. You can reach out to the program director and try to get some sort of scholarship for funding.
How was the journey taking up data science, although hailing from a core background like electrical, and what motivated you to do so?
Yeah, so although I was from electrical, I had subjects related to maths and stats and economics, and those were the ones which in general interested me more than electrical engineering itself. But being from a core branch, I had some difficulties initially, but once you start, once you have your goal and your aim set on doing something, you do it regardless. And it's not like since you have spent 4 years of your life learning one thing, you cannot learn another thing in the next 4 years. You can certainly build on it. For example, I have a friend who graduated from University of Michigan. He did his master's in electrical engineering, I think power electronics, but he ended up being a machine learning. I think he's an algorithm engineer. So he writes computer vision algorithms. So it is very different in the sense that once you do your masters, you gain a lot of knowledge related to a very specific branch. So within electrical engineering, there are subjects like power electronics, electrical drives, that will help you in doing research. And once you do research, data science is nothing but research, putting it like plain and simple. Like learning the coding skills should not be a challenge for somebody from good colleges like you guys are. So even if you are from electrical engineering, you know the codings, you have the coding skills, and you have the research appetite, from your core engineering background, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to do that transition to data science.
So, what should be the pre-knowledge requirements in doing this course as a fresher? Which language should we learn to advance in our career?
Um, well, if you want to go into data science, the language of choice today are Python and R. I actually started off with R. I was learning R initially, and then after some time, I was also tutoring in R to certain other master students. But I ultimately settled with Python because a lot of the interoperability that arises within these cloud systems is not possible with R. So at some point you have to write something to call an API, write something to interact with a different system, write something to Dockerize your container, write something to deploy your apps using CI/CD. So Python helps in doing that. And in general, Python is very flexible language, but I have friends who have worked completely with R. So if you are into data science and machine learning, you cannot go wrong either with R or Python. But just keep in mind that if you go with R, you would it might be a little difficult to become a machine learning engineer as opposed to a data scientist. And if you, in case you don't know the example or the difference between the machine learning engineer and the data scientist, is that the data scientist actually he is the first one who looks at the data, comes up with some sort of model that can predict or that can classify into categories or do something with the data. And then the machine learning engineer is a new class of software developers who take that machine learning model and deploy on the production system. So it's a little hard to do that with R because R is a statistical language and not really built for production deployments. So if you want to be ML engineer, then probably choose Python. But if you want to do anything other than that in data science, then you cannot go wrong with either R or Python.
Sir, after doing 2 internship in the field of ML, I am not confident, although I had worked some data sets from Kaggle, all of them failed. What is your suggestion regarding my problem?
Failure. So like I said, right, like data science is a lot of research. So a part of research is not getting a result. But do not let that be an obstacle to doing anything further. Sometimes the data itself might not have enough in it to give you an accurate prediction or accurate result, but those failures are the ones which will help you avoid similar failures in the future. So you also learn from your failures. So don't let those failures like uh, take or do anything negative to your ambition or your career goals. If it is a Kaggle dataset, then you can probably reach out to the owner of the dataset or post a question in the common thread under that particular dataset in Kaggle and see what people have to say. I am sure you would find answers because most likely there might be some sort of data cleaning that you are missing out on. You might want to, speak with people who have worked on those data sets. You can do that via chat in Kaggle under that particular data set, under that particular project.
So what are the skills Oracle looking for while hiring?
A very broad question. Oracle hires for sales, marketing, software developers. So I'm assuming you want for data scientists, right? So we have, so my team has another principal data scientist position open, but for that, we are looking at, probably like 10 years of experience in data science and machine learning and ability uh, to take the findings from the data and speak to VPs and SVPs, present to VPs and SVPs. But this is for a very senior role. For junior roles, we generally look for an appetite to work with data, to find some insight from the data. You should have the necessary coding skills. Any coding skills. We don't have a preference in language. any language you choose from, you can. So coding, statistics, machine learning, data visualization, SQL. SQL is also very important, equally important as coding, because most of the data that you will get, about 80%, 90% of the data would be in a relational database somewhere. So you need SQL to fetch those. So SQL and programming are like the foremost skills. And on top of that, if you're planning for data science, then obviously statistics and machine learning.
Which is better for data scientist, product-based company or service-based company?
In my opinion, I think a product-based company is probably better. Not to say that service-based is not better. I have friends who work in TCS in data science, and they have been doing good. But product-based company is better because you would directly be working with these product teams, and anything you implement is actually going to be used by customers. So, say for example, I have a friend who works in Apple. He works in the machine learning team that builds recommendations when you type in something in your Mac. It does like autofill and those kind of things, right? So uh, you actually get to see people using them. So you have a sense of accomplishment that you might not have in a service-based company, but either should be fine. As long as it's a decent, good opportunity, you will learn a lot.
So, last question. While doing the projects, I always need a reference. Till now, I am unable to create my own solutions. Is it go this way or I am going in a wrong way?
So I think you are probably a bit more reliant on looking up all those references in your while you develop your thought process. So the best way to do that would be pick up something, uh, pick up any data set, right, and do not look at any sort of solution, and then try to write 5 or 6 questions that you want to answer. Those questions would necessarily be your hypothesis of what you want to do. So let's say I get data from say from electric energy usage in CT building block A. I can't even remember what the building blocks were. So let's say you get the usage pattern of electricity, right? So you want to ask yourself, what sort of questions do I want to answer? Once you have those questions, you can come up with your hypothesis. So come up with the hypothesis first before you jump into your data science work. And once you have those hypotheses, go into data cleaning and try to just validate. Just validate if the hypothesis is right or wrong. Once you validate something, once you at least one hypothesis, if you validate, you can go on and build a predictive model or a prescriptive model or descriptive model, whatever you want to build. You can build around that. So if you have been following up examples until this point, and now you are finding yourself not being able to think on your own, then I would say just stop looking at those references and start thinking, because thinking is something that companies are going to pay you for your data science skills. They're not going to pay you for coding skills or for anything, because they can hire a coder for that. They can hire a software developer.
Thank you so much, sir, for spending such a beautiful moment with us. And I would like to request Gaganjit sir to say a few words on Priyanjan sir.
Right. Thank you so much, PR Engine. Thank you so much for your time. And I would not say like time because you have come up to guide your own juniors today. And maybe
Yeah.
I've seen similar questions which you might have, like as you said, 8 to 9 years back when you were there in the college. So, and thank you so much, team, Samarth, Akash, and Archie. And all three of you are there, right, today in this panel. So thank you so much for having, like, this is the best team we can see, like, as of now. This internship program of SARC is going on because without any information, they've already conducted 3 webinars so far, and as of now no team has done that till now, right? So kudos to you. And right, I would request Priya Ranjan to say a few words like before we conclude today's session, because it is not about me, it is about CET Bhubaneswar and their alumni coming back, right? So
Yeah.
how do you see this program, and how do you feel like, if you can, because there will be few, there are few alumni also, those who have joined to listen you today. So how you will guide them to give back to the college?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great platform that you guys have provided for even like for third year, fourth year, or for alumni. Uh, and I would highly encourage, if there are alumni in this call, I would highly encourage them to carve out some time to help the juniors. I personally wanted to do this once Samarth reached out to me. Uh, like once I knew that you guys had something like this going on, I just couldn't say no, because I know how many people are in these kind of positions where they don't have answers to the questions. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with GRE, GMAT, CAT, or anything. Just like in general career, choosing a right career path. Because to be honest, it's very easy for me to say that I knew that I wanted to be a data scientist in my third year or fourth year, but it is not the case. I didn't even know that I wanted to be a data scientist uh, until after I landed in US. So uh, it is okay to be confused whether to go for CAT or for GATE. Uh, just pick any one of them. Try to prepare wholeheartedly for them. It doesn't matter whichever exam, GRE, GATE, CAT, GMAT, whatever. Uh, put all of your efforts, and if it doesn't work out that particular year, it is still fine, because like it's not like you can appear for the exam once in your career. Your career is long. You are what, 22, 23 years, 21, 22 years old. You will have lot of time to frame your career. So do not get disappointed if you don't do it the right way the first time. It's a long journey to get to where you want. I am still going through the journey. I still have somewhere to go to ultimately reach a place where I can like at least have some sort of comfort. So it's the same for you guys, right? So you are preparing a lot. You're studying for your GPAs, and like GPAs, as much as we want to dismiss them, they are important. The primary reason being, you cannot reappear for your engineering exam. It will stay with your career forever. So you would take your GPAs wherever you go. So try to get a good GPA. Try to prepare for any one exam that you want to give. It's okay to be confused. You can try and test it out. You can take a couple of years to prepare for them. You can even like go and do some sort of work full time while preparing for something else. It's fine to find your like take some time to get your feet settled. And like these kind of platforms, I think, give some sort of clarity to students as to choosing one over the other. So thank you guys for doing that.
Thank you so much, Priyaranjan. And guys, like if you're, many of questions they do come back. Like they say, like I really want to get in touch with Priyaranjan and all. Like even though like Samarth or Akash has already shared your LinkedIn profile, so you can connect with your alumni through LinkedIn. That is what we are conveying our message to all students. Plus, we are coming up with this Career Center tool on your alumni portal itself on CET Bhubaneswar's alumni portal soon, where it will be like a Quora sort of thing where you can become a
Yeah,
mentor. And questions, right? People, rather than reaching out to you individually, it is better to put questions over there so that everybody can be benefited and you can actually answer over there. It is something like if they have
nice,
any, right? So that thing will like even this team will reach out to you as soon as we are launching it, and maybe that is
nice,
how we
nice.
can build up a good mentorship model for CET Bhubaneswar, right?
Nice. It's great, because I was just about to mention that if like people have like a lot of questions around data science or machine learning in general, I was about to mention that maybe put them in like a Excel sheet or Google sheet and just share the link with me. I can start answering as and
Right.
when I have time. But it's great that you have actually a forum for that.
No, no, but like it is like a week or two, and then we'll launch it, and we'll get back
Okay.
to you. Like the team will get back to you. We'll assign you as mentor over there, and then you can answer. You
Yeah.
can pick up all data scientist questions or anything where you feel, because we have picked up these 4 areas. It is not only about job and internships, but like if about higher studies or your own area of interest where you want to see yourself. Like so that
Yeah.
question, which the soft skills trainer normally asks, where do you see yourself? Maybe a alumni can answer them better, right? So that is the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Priyaranjan, for your time today, and thank you so much, team, for handling this webinar so beautifully. And kudos to you, Samarth, and Akash and Archie. Right. Thank you. So we are signing off for today's session. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.